Welcome to Networks Professionals.
Let's explore a certification that is, frankly, becoming absolutely critical in our cloud and AI-driven world. We're talking about the CGEIT. Look, if you've ever looked up from the server room or maybe from staring at a seemingly endless string of code and realized, hey, I want to be the one steering the entire ship, well, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're unpacking a certification that literally shifts your tech career from tactical execution straight to executive strategy. In this explainer, we're going to cover a few key areas. First up, demystifying the CGIT. Then we'll go inside the 4 domains, break down the exam details and costs, outline your roadmap to certification, and finally look at the career impact and salaries.
All right, Section 1, demystifying the CGIT and defining the peak.
So what exactly is the CGEIT? Well, it stands for Certified in the Governance of Enterprise IT. It's an advanced level certification offered by ISACA, which is an incredibly respected global professional association. Now listen, this isn't about configuring servers, writing Python scripts, or managing a firewall. It's about leading governance programs and making strategic IT decisions. It actually teaches you how to look at the massive, complex machinery of enterprise tech and perfectly align it with the overarching goals of a business. It's all about making sure technology actually drives the business forward, rather than just costing it a bunch of money.
The demand for this specific skill set becomes incredibly clear when you look at who's actually hiring. We're talking about heavy hitters: Microsoft, Amazon, Google, IBM, Fortune 500 companies, major international banks, and massive government agencies. In a modern corporate landscape that depends entirely on cloud computing, cybersecurity governance, and AI, these organizations absolutely cannot afford tactical mistakes. They're actively hunting for professionals who can manage enterprise risk and prove without a doubt that their tech investments are generating real business value.
Moving on to Section 2, inside the 4 domains, mapping the route.
For the exam, you're going to be tested heavily on 4 specific domains, alongside critical IT management frameworks like COBIT and enterprise architecture. The first domain is the governance of enterprise IT, where you learn the frameworks and policies of leadership. Next up is IT resources, and this is really all about optimizing the people, the infrastructure, and the applications that make up your tech stack. The third domain, benefits realization, is arguably the most critical one for the boardroom. It's the art of ensuring that every single dollar spent on IT actually delivers tangible business value. And finally, we have risk optimization, which covers managing IT risks and strict compliance standards. Honestly, this is the absolute bedrock of what an executive needs to know today.
Okay, Section 3, exam details and costs, the required gear.
Come exam day, you are going to face exactly 150 multiple-choice questions. Now, you do have the flexibility to tackle these either in a traditional testing center environment or via a remote online proctored exam right from your home office. That accessibility is super great, but don't let it fool you into thinking the questions themselves are going to be a walk in the park.
You have precisely 4 hours to complete this marathon. That gives you roughly a little over 1.5 minutes per question. It's a true test of executive endurance. It's designed to see if you can maintain high-level, strategic thinking under sustained pressure, which is a lot like a real crisis in the boardroom, right?
To pass, you need a scaled score of 450 out of 800. What's totally vital to understand here is the scaled part, meaning not every single question carries the exact same weight. Harder, more complex scenario-based questions will impact your score differently than the more straightforward framework questions. You really have to be deeply well-rounded across all 4 of those domains to hit that 450 mark.
So let's talk about the financial investment, which varies depending on your ISACA membership status. If you are an ISACA member, the exam costs $575. For non-members, it jumps up a bit to $760. And keep in mind, there's also a $50 processing fee for your application after you actually pass the exam. It's an investment, absolutely, but as we'll see in just a bit, the return on this specific investment is pretty massive.
Next up is Section 4, your roadmap to certification, the step-by-step climb.
Now this is really where the CGIGT separates the dreamers from the doers. You need a minimum of 5 years of professional IT governance experience across at least 3 of the 4 domains we discussed earlier. Now here's a fantastic caveat. While beginners can absolutely study for and take the test early, you literally cannot officially claim the CGIGT title until you have those 5 years under your belt. It's highly encouraged to start studying these governance frameworks early in your career, maybe while you're working as a security analyst or in IT support, so you are completely primed and ready when you hit that 5-year mark.
When it actually comes time to study, you'll want to follow this exact 5-step roadmap. First, learn the fundamentals, especially the COBIT framework. Second, rely heavily on the official ISACA review manual and their QAE, which stands for Questions, Answers, and Explanations database. Third, practice those scenario-based questions. Fourth, revisit and study COBIT thoroughly because it is basically the backbone of this exam. And finally, take full mock exams. Successful candidates strongly recommend consistently scoring between 75 and 80% on your practice exams before you ever sit for the real thing.
At this point, you really have to shift your mindset. Unlike a CCNA or a CompTIA Security Plus certification that focuses heavily on memorization, technical troubleshooting, and tactical execution, the CGEIT demands executive decision-making. The exam is going to throw complex, nuanced business scenarios at you. It wants to know how you think as a leader navigating enterprise-level strategy. You aren't just fixing a router here. You are deciding if the entire router network actually aligns with the CEO's 5-year digital transformation strategy. Big difference. And remember, reaching the peak isn't the end of the journey. You have to maintain your governance muscles. To keep your CGEIT status active, you're required to complete 20 continuing professional education or CPE hours annually, and a total of 120 CPE hours every 3 years, along with an annual maintenance fee. The tech landscape evolves so rapidly, and ISACA just wants to ensure its executives stay sharp and totally up to date on the latest risk and compliance trends.
Finally, Section 5, Career Impact and Salaries, the view from the top.
Because enterprise governance expertise is so incredibly rare, the global average salaries definitely reflect that high demand. We are routinely seeing salaries ranging from $120,000 to well over $140,000 globally for senior roles. Having a CGEIT basically signals that you can protect multi-million-dollar investments, which, as you can imagine, is insanely valued in the current market.
Making this transition unlocks some absolute heavy-hitting roles. You aren't just an engineer anymore. You're stepping into positions like IT Governance Manager, Senior IT Risk Manager, Enterprise Architect, or Digital Transformation Manager. You become a trusted CIO advisor or an IT director. You literally become the person the board looks to when they need to navigate the incredibly complex intersection of modern technology, security, and overall business growth.
The CGEIT is not just a certification. It's a completely different way of looking at both technology and business. It's a real game changer. So the final question you have to ask yourself is this: are you ready to leave the server room and finally step into the boardroom?
Thanks for watching.